Welcome back to Twitch and Box Sports Talk. We're going to roll into the state of the Steelers, Chiefs, and Broncos so far, and the Bengals if Finn has anything to throw in on this one. We're going to start out with the Steelers, who get a huge win over the Colts, arguably the hottest team in the league. Steelers defense comes out and plays. So, Twitch, what is the state of the Steelers rolling into Week 10 here?
Well, I feel like there's a collective breath of relief for Pittsburgh fans. After what we saw the previous 2 weeks against the Bengals and Packers, and then our schedule doesn't get any easier even after this week. Again, going to Chargers, then at Chicago, and then we get the Bengals again. I think we'll get revenge on them. That'll be 1 week that I'll pick us to win. How'd that turn out last time?
Yeah.
But no, a solid win with the Ravens getting the win, and with the Bengals and Browns both losing, to where now we're sitting there at 5-3, got a 2-game lead almost halfway through the season. So again, like for a defense that hadn't turned anybody over in 3 weeks and no sacks, to have several sacks and stop the hottest offense, it gives us a little bit of sigh of relief. So this game Sunday, like I said, to me, I said this could very well determine who's going to be the 7 seed and have that tiebreaker if they finish with the same record, which is very, very possible. Aaron Rodgers just continues to be that steady hand, not always flashy, but getting guys like being effective in the red zone, making 4, 5, 6 plays a game, where it's just like it's kind of rocks you to sleep. I said, but to me, like last week was a lot like we've seen Pittsburgh under Tomlin, in that. I hate to rely on that each week, how sustainable that is. I said, but you play right into Pittsburgh. I mean, it's just anybody in the NFL, but specifically Pittsburgh, they get burned a lot when they go for the big plays on defense. Or it's like you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And so it's when those teams like the Colts, they have that first turnover, then the second turnover, and then they just automatically freak out against us. And it's just like, oh, it's the Steelers. It's just some type of, and Mike Florio talks about this. I said, but it's kind of something. Kind of, I don't know if it sounds cheesy, but kind of mystical. I said, but just, I don't know how sustainable it is. I said, but then it's just like, it seems like when they get the turnovers, they all start coming, and so that allows guys like T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig to rush the quarterback when they are getting the turnovers the way they were. So hopefully, hopefully they can carry that over much better defensively. Like I said, Jalen Warren having a career high game with 2 touchdowns. Still want to see more out of the tight ends. Don't know, Washington dropped a couple, also caught a couple. Freiermuth had a good touchdown, but still looking for that number 2 wide receiver. Another thing that could have made me twitch was, for the second straight week, they got Roman Wilson from Michigan 2 years ago, and he was hurt last year, but the star from that Michigan team, or one of them, and he had, I think, 5 catches, something like that, for like 75 yards, but almost made me twitch because Pittsburgh's up by 10 with 4 minutes, and he tries to jump over somebody for a first down at the Indy 20-yard line and fumbles the football. So, coachable moment. But if you're a Steelers fan, again, it's like if they can carry that over, their defense can play more like that than what they played the last 2 weeks. If they can find a way to get a win against the Chargers, like I said, still up by 2 games, and I anticipate Baltimore winning this week. So they got them hot on their heels, but they still have a 2-game lead. Still want to see more out of the number 2 receiver and consistency out of the tight end. But overall, I feel like I said, there's a sigh of relief for Pittsburgh, and they can kind of take it. They can't really relax, but I mean, the sky wasn't necessarily falling. So, state of the Steelers, that was a huge win. Like I said, most people didn't have that, and so yeah, we'll see how it carries over. I said, but yeah. That's where I feel like we're at. I said Aaron Rodgers has played lights out. I said nothing fancy, and as long as we don't turn the ball over, and that defense gets off the field the way they hadn't been able to the last 2 weeks, I feel like they could be competitive. They're right there. So they looked terrible against the Bengals on defense, and they looked terrible against the Packers. I said, but they've also beaten the Patriots and beaten the Colts, and so that's what happens when they get pressure. So that's the formula, and getting the turnovers in bunches, and so we'll see.
Yeah. I feel like you hit the nail right on the head that this Steelers-Chargers game will decide which one of these teams is in the playoffs with how hit or miss the Steelers have been kind of this year and their defense has been spotty, and then how hit or miss the Chargers' offense has been this year. Mm-hmm. I feel like this game will definitely come back in the first week of January, and both teams will be like, wow, I really wish we would have got that one, whoever loses this one. Mm-hmm. But I'll be interested to see. Rolling in the state of the Broncos here. Broncos get an ugly win. Not as ugly as beating the Jets in London. That was probably our ugliest game of the year. But this game was also very, very ugly. 18-15 win. Another last-second field goal for the Broncos to win this game. Bo Nix, 18 for 37. Started out 0-4 in the first quarter. Just couldn't get the ball moving at all. 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. J.K. Dobbins, 61 yards on the ground, with Bo Nix with another 36. R.J. Harvey leading the team in receiving for 5 for 51 and 1 touchdown. And then Cortland Sutton getting a ball on a rope for 1 for 30 and a touchdown. Shout out the Texans defense for their goal was to take away Sutton, and they took him away minus that one play. And Sutton's touchdown was not an easy one. It was up the sideline, another over-the-shoulder grab by Sutton. So I was happy we got the win. And I know I sound like a broken record here, guys, but I think Sean needs to give up the play calling. And it's Sean, you've had a great career play calling. You're still a great NFL head coach. I still think you can get these guys to the Super Bowl. But the screens, man, it feels like me playing my Pops back in the day on Madden 11. Yeah. He always... just rushed me because he knew how to get flustered. So I just call screen. And, you get a couple yards here, a couple yards there, but you never get the big plays.
Right.
So, and obviously we saw what the Broncos could do last week against the Cowboys and our big plays and beating them the way we should. Then the week before, we see in the fourth quarter, we start moving the ball down the field. We get a little bit of the play action game going, and we get, we come back 33 points in the fourth quarter. And this game, was another fourth quarter comeback, so to say. And I remember texting the group chat about halftime of the game, and I said, what are we doing? What's going on? And then coming back in the fourth quarter after we won, I texted the group chat again. I said, I guess we're just a fourth quarter team now, boys. Mm-hmm. We just come out and played good, but I don't know how our offense can be so hot or cold the way it has been so far this year. It's been... I'm glad that we've won these games that we have. And, our 2 losses are last-second field goals as well. So it really goes down to we are just truly a fourth-quarter team. But I'd rather us come out and dominate like we did with the Cowboys every week compared to how we played the Texans this week. But playing the Raiders this week, I feel confident in it. Obviously, the Raiders kind of traded away the farm today to, get some draft picks back. Not trade away the farm, but, they trade away to wide receiver number 1. So Brock Bowers is back, so it'll be a tough go at it. And then Genty's still there. But Geno Smith, obviously, pretty reckless with the ball this year. And looking ahead, we play the Raiders, and we got the Chiefs coming off a bye week, which I think will be our next true measuring stick of, hey, where are we at this season so far? And then we play the Commanders, who without Jalen Daniels turns it into a lot easier game. That game's in primetime, so I'm excited to watch the Broncos and primetime there. And then we play the Raiders again, which, again, it's the Raiders. Hopefully we get a win there. Then we play the Packers and Jacksonville. Those are the 2 most interesting games to me. But I think the Broncos can continue our win streak here. And, beat the Raiders this week. Let's get this win streak to 7. And then then we play the Chiefs, which who knows how that game's going to go. It's in Denver, so I have good faith in that one. It's a 3:25 game, so I'm excited about that one. We'll probably get that one in primetime, get to watch it here. But I'm excited for the Broncos coming out. Obviously, we're leading the division right now, so that makes me excited. Always got to be excited when your team's top of the division like that, especially after the turnaround that we've had since we got Bo Nix. So I'm an optimistic Broncos fan right now. We get to this 8-win threshold, and then we have a couple easy dubs down the road. And even if the Chiefs do somehow come back and win the division, the Broncos are still in the playoffs, and as we've said before, as long as you got to get to the dance. So as long as we get in the dance, I have faith in us to get explosive there. But going into our team that lost in prime time there, and then or not our game of the week, I guess, but rolling into a bye week. What's the state of the Chiefs over there, Greg?
Well, you talked about that race date. I mean, that's been my big talking point is that looking at the schedule, that's where, I mean, you don't know where you're going to drop some games and pick some games up that you should have. I know you guys both picked the Bills last week, and I was the only one that said.
No, I picked the Chiefs. Remember, I changed it last second and said Kansas City, and then they said, "Fuck you, Will. You're a Broncos fan. Why are you picking us?" Right. Should have known.
But I mean, I picked that one knowing it could go either way. I do feel good about Andy Reid's record coming off a bye week that you have to go out there and play the Broncos in Denver. But that is an important game. I mean, that is definitely the one that I think you need to get because for me, the state of the Chiefs right now is it's kind of a mess when you look at how they played the Bills. I mean, like you said, Patrick Mahomes, 250, touchdown, interception. Wasn't spectacular. He wasn't running for his life. I mean, the one rush for 5 yards, but we didn't look great on all areas of offense. And I felt like the score really didn't represent how the game went. I think the Bills outplayed us on every level. So it's got me not necessarily a little nervous, but we need to figure a couple things out because now we've got our wide receivers in check that we want. Isaiah Pacheco being out, I think, definitely made a big difference in where we're at with the balance of that because Shaw didn't have, a lot of production, didn't see a lot out of Kareem, but at the same time, you can't make excuses for it. You know what you're going into that game, and so it's how you prepare for it in that moment. And the big thing is after that Broncos game, it's that schedule. I mean, like you mentioned too, with the state of the Broncos. Yeah. Broncos got the Raiders twice. I mean, I feel like those are almost gimmies. I mean, it's anybody can win in the NFL, and so I don't want to take anything away from what the Raiders can or can't do. But your schedule looks a whole lot more favorable than us. And you're already up a couple games. And then we do have the Colts, who, even though the Colts lost to the Steelers,
still a good team.
Yeah, and then look at the additions that they've put on their defense
Sauce
here.
Gardner's definitely.
So, and he'll be there and ready for that game for sure. And then the Cowboys, we joke on the Cowboys all the time, but the Cowboys offense can definitely come out there and put up some points on us. I think our defense shows up, but it's just crazy to think we got the Broncos, the Colts, Cowboys, Texans, Chargers. I mean, we've got a solid 5 weeks of football in there before we get to our Raiders game, which would be the Titans, and so I always said that race date would say a lot for where we're at, but this is also the Chiefs where I think they really put together their best product on the field is come November and December. But they have to do it. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't get to make any excuses. You have to come out there and you have to play football. And so I'm excited because you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not invested in them other than being a fan. I've got some reasons to kind of hope for the Broncos if they're up there. But of all those games that Kansas City's got, those all should be great games. And I think that Kansas City steps up to the plate most of the time in those moments. But man, they're going to have to. Because here's the thing: when you guys did in July your seeding picks, to which you had the Chiefs above the Broncos, and Big Will, I think you had the Broncos at 2 and the Chiefs coming in.
We had the Chiefs at 5 still. I'm having a great year still.
Yeah. And if I was to look at what the state of the Chiefs are, I think that the Chiefs probably realistically come in with one of those wild card spots. I think the Broncos are going to end up winning the division, which we haven't seen that in a long time.
Since 2015.
A decade.
Yeah.
And I think that if a team can come back out of there and play in that position, I think it's the Chiefs. They can go out on the road and they can win. But that's just something that we haven't had to do in a long time. So, hold on to your boots, man, because this could be crazy last half of the season.
Yeah, there's 8 weeks left, guys. We're getting down to like teams fighting for legitimate playoff spots and teams proving that they're frauds. And
I just think the Chiefs have a long ways to go to get back in there
Yeah.
and win the division. I think that they make the playoffs, and then they have to go out and work for it. But I think they'll be thirsty, and hopefully everybody's healthy. It's just crazy, as we've seen this year, one injury takes the wind out of the sail for a lot of teams. Mm-hmm. And when we started those picks, we were talking about Baltimore and we were talking about the Bengals, immediately that conversation changes when you have injuries. Yeah. So, I hope that we stay healthy. We're getting our players back that we needed to have back as far as wide receiver weapons. We're missing Pacheco, so I don't know I don't know what that's going to look like, but obviously we're not picking anybody up. So, we're going to roll with Kareem Hunt. And
you got Edwards-Helaire. He signed off the practice squad, so he's there.
That's
he's
where
also
I'm at.
on the team.
He's still on there. I didn't know that.
So
yeah,
bye week.
They reactivated him this week. That's the only reason I saw. Yeah, bye week for the Chiefs. Huge. Andy Reid's always really good off the bye week. Yeah, so next week me and Greg are gonna have to make a bet for the Chiefs Broncos game and figure out what some kind of bet for that game. But appreciate you guys listening to our state of the Broncos. Oh, my bad, Finn. Forgot the Bengals are still a team. What's the state of the Bengals over there after trading away your Mike linebacker today?
The offense is definitely doing good. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins got 100 yards games.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the other day, and their defense. They need to get a better defense. Their defense needs to play and work, and they're gonna need to win a bunch of their next games.
Yeah, you get the win out, man. Yeah.
And they're probably not playoff contenders. They're probably not going to play Joe Burrow in December. The record's just... who knows? It could be good, it could be bad. But if it's bad, then they're probably just staying with Jake Browning and Joe Flacco. But their defense, they're coming off a bye week. Hopefully they'll pull out the win the week after, and yeah.
And it's tough being a Bengals fan.
Hey,
What are we talking?
at least you guys aren't going to lose this week.
Yeah, got the Booger Eater Bowl this week. So
Which game was that? Bears Giants.
there's two of them that you got split on.
Yeah.
Well, that's the Booger Bowl.
So Finn's pick for this week, he took the Pats over the Bucks. He took the Giants over the Bears. He took the 49ers over the Rams. Those are his picks, and then the rest of his picks matched with his dad's picks across the board. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see how Finn does this week. We have all of Finn's picks this week, so next week we'll give a report back on how he did on his picks, and it'll be interesting to see. So appreciate everybody listening. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us this week. Trade recap is already up on YouTube and X right now. Be on the lookout for State of the Teams coming out Wednesday morning, and then be on the lookout for the whole podcast coming out. Twitch and Buck Sports Talk Week 9 coming out at some point. Got to give Twitch his flowers real quick here. Didn't really do it on the real podcast, but he is tied with all the NFL experts for picking games so far at 94, 39, and 1. He is tied with the top of them. So, shout out Twitch for bringing an element to this podcast. He's picked against his team a couple times, which I'll never do because, it's just not in my blood. But appreciate
100 this year.
Yeah.
Well, no, this week.
Yeah.
Well, I just saw that yesterday. There was a link, and so I wasn't even looking for it, but I saw that, and so I was like, well, let me see where I stack up, and it was like I think it was Yahoo or somebody.
Yeah.
But it took all the experts from all the major ESPN, CBS, all that, and like all the expert picks, and the top guy had like 94, and had the Cowboys last night, same as me. So
Yeah.
I was like, hey, yeah. You heard it here
Yeah,
first.
I heard it here first.
That's right.
Yeah, we drop our stuff on Wednesday. We don't wait
Yeah.
till Friday.
I think I'm sitting at. I'm gonna knock on wood, so I don't have another 5 and 9 week, like I did like week 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I think 8 out of 9 weeks I've hit at least 10 games right.
Yeah.
As the lowest week. So.
Nice.
That's going to conclude the state of the Broncos, Chiefs, and Steelers and Bengals this week. Appreciate everybody for listening. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe both on X and they're up on YouTube. Appreciate everybody, and hope everybody has a great week. See ya.